Good morning, dear students in grade 11 in Mujtama Private School. How are you? Our lesson today is Writing a Story, Part 1, Unit 3. But first of all, let's say the school vision to prepare creative, well-educated students who are able to establish civilized, aware, reserved society, stick to the authentic morals and values in addition to using the modern technology. Our value for this week, as you know, is generosity. Let's start our lesson. Would you be interested in going on a safari? Yes? Why yes? If not, why not? When on the safari, what dangers might you encounter? Maybe the monsters, predators, like lions, snakes. Maybe you lose water, you lose food. Well, let me start with this question. What are the narrative elements? What are the story elements? You start, the story elements are setting and characters and the plot. And the plot, it can be divided into 6 phases. Phase number 1, exposition. It means the beginning of the story that introduces conflict or character or setting. Phase 2, rising action. Events before the climax. Characters attempt to solve the problem but fails. 3, the turning point or the point of greatest suspense or action. As you know, with no climax there is no story. 4, falling action. Actions and events that occur after the climax. And in the end, resolution, end of the story where the conflicts or problems are solved. Our objective today to identify the elements of the narrative text by answering the question exercise B, page 48 student book. Read the story, pause the video, then come back to me to answer these questions. Well, have you finished? So, the first question is, who is the main character? Who is the protagonist of the story? Question 2, how does the narrator engage the reader's attention from the very beginning? Question 2 means the writer tries to use techniques. The narrator himself. The narrator himself is the protagonist. So from which point of view is the story written? Of course, by the first point of view. The narrator grabs the reader's attention by introducing the idea of an unforgettable experience from the past. In doing so, he arouses the reader's curiosity and makes her interested in finding out about the narrator's experience and why it is so memorable to him. So all of these words mean that he uses the first person narration in the beginning. Well, exercise C, part 1. Each of the following statements corresponds to one of the paragraphs in the story. Write the numbers from 1 to 5 in the boxes provided. In this paragraph, the writer describes the main event. The main event 3, climax, sure. And which paragraph tells us where the story took place? I mean the setting. Of course, paragraph 1. And which paragraph explains the outcome of the main event? The outcome, what happened after the climax? Of course, paragraph 4, the following action. D, which paragraph presents the people accompanying him? Of course, paragraph 1. Which paragraph tells us what he learned from his experience? Yes, great, in the end, paragraph 5. Which paragraph describes what took place before the main event, before the climax. Of course, it's paragraph 2. G describes how he felt when the incident occurred. Great, the climax, paragraph 3. Which paragraph says how he felt when a solution to his problem presented itself? 4. Great. Exercise C, part 2. The stages plot development in the table below correspond to paragraphs 1 to 5 in the story. Complete the table with the function of each stage. A shows the lesson that was learned and how the character has changed as a result. B describes the most intense moment of the story. C shows how the problem is resolved. D provides extra detail and introduces the problem. E introduces the protagonist, creates the setting, time, and place, and establishes the context of the story. So, which one is introduction? Of course, E introduces the protagonist, creates the setting, and establishes the context of the story. And which one is suitable for rising action? Rising action. D provides extra detail and introduces the problem. 3. Climax describes the most intense moment of the story. 4. Following action. Great, C shows how the problem is resolved. And finally, where is the conclusion? A shows the lesson that was learned and how the character has changed as a result. Good. Exercise C, part 3. Find examples of the following features in the story: direct speech, questions, exclamations, and powerful language. All of these are language features the writer has used. First, direct speech. The example: this is the opportunity I've been waiting for, I said to myself. You can highlight it. And there are other as well. There are others. Questions: what would I do if the lines woke up before the truck reached me? Exclamations: I was, you see, determined to take an award-winning picture. Powerful language, strong words. Determined, award-winning picture, amazing creatures, scream in horror, run frantically, intense heat. So the writer here uses powerful language and strong words. Let's move to exercise D. Complete the rules about the use of time linkers with highlighted words in the story. Use after, until, when, before, till, as soon as, and by the time to link two past actions, one of which happened earlier than the other. 2. Use as and while with the past progressive to link two past actions which were happening at the same time, or to introduce the longer of the two actions. 3. Use time words or phrases such as yesterday, last night, last month, last year, 2 years ago, then, just then, after that, and that day before, and the day after, at the time, etc., to indicate when something happened. Great. I hope you have understood the lesson today. I hope you will do your best in your exams. Thank you and goodbye.